YouTube works for us. Oh my gosh, that is probably the fastest this has ever gone through. I think we're officially live.
That's awesome. Yay!
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
See, this was meant to be. I feel like this is a sign of good things to come. That was the fastest YouTube has ever connected to StreamYard.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully people are joining and commenting. I'm just going to take a second to introduce myself and my very special sleuthing guest tonight. So I'm Angela, aka Writer I Heart, aka the woman behind the Cozy Mystery Book Club. I'm so excited you guys are joining tonight for Buried in a Good Book. And I am so honored to be chatting with you guys. I mean, I'm such a fan of this woman, and she is so sweet, so talented. Kate Lansing. Oh my gosh, she is just incredible. We read Killer Chardonnay for our book club a couple years back. I still recommend it all the time. She is our sleuthing guest tonight. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all thank you for inviting me to co-host. And I'm just so excited to be here. So I cannot wait to talk about this book either. This is going to be a good one.
Well, also, it's so I love when you guys comment and things are popping up. That makes me so happy. So every comment tonight will count as a giveaway entry because Kate is generously offering the 4th book in her Colorado Wine Mystery Series. So one lucky sleuther is going to be getting a copy courtesy of our guest hostess tonight. So more comments, better your chances are of winning. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the book, and there's a lot to talk about in the comments. So this is exciting. And I'm just, again, I feel like I get starstruck by you. Even though we know each other at this point, I still am like, oh, she's so talented.
And you're so kind. I love the community you've built up. I've said it before. I just think you're incredible. And I love this warm, like, the community. And it's just, and it gives the cozy world, I don't know, somewhere to go online and just to be able to connect with people. And I'm seeing so many names that I recognize, which is super fun. So, hey, everybody.
No, this is so, I love it when you guys pop up and I get to say, I love it that I know the names. So this is the whole thing with being the one-woman operation of the Cozy Mystery Book Club. Like, it's a lot of work, but I get to know the usernames, and that makes it so much more fun because I'm like, oh, hi, Renee. Hi, Kim. Kim won. I think she won a giveaway last time, if I remember correctly. So this is so nice when I get to see the names. And I love that you know the names as well, because sometimes you think when it comes to authors, there's like a little bit of a, I don't know, how do you just say it? Like, there's a difference with the groups of the writers and readers. Like, I love it when there's an intermingling. So that makes me very happy. Yes, everyone, I'm excited. Like, I have the book and I'm excited for it to be released into the world.
Not long now, so it's very fun.
I'm going to be doing one of those book birthday shout outs, so that's going to be coming. But tonight we're talking about Buried in a Good Book, and it's been very interesting to see the comments because some people are loving our protagonist. Some people are wondering why Tess is sleuthing at all. But I enjoyed her. So I'm kind of curious if you guys enjoyed Tess. And so please comment away and tell us what you thought about the book. But I'm going to ask Kate if she enjoyed the book. So let's kick it off with Kate.
I really enjoyed the book. I do think this is going to be really interesting to really dig into some elements of it because, and I was following along with some of the things you were posting. Like, some people thought like Tess was kind of annoying or like not great, and it made me think a little bit more about her character too, because I loved the book. So any criticism you hear is coming from like a place of deep, like, I appreciate it and I love it. And yeah, I just thought it was such an interesting, I don't know, hook with like the best-selling thriller writer. And Tess, like, I was laughing by the end of the first chapter because she was so relatable. And I don't know, maybe that's just as like a mystery writer, but so I'll be curious if other people kind of related to some of, like, and I just found her so entertaining. And the way she like actually shared some of the morbid research bits with her daughter, and then Gertie would just spit them back at her, like, isn't this where, like, didn't you say like more women are about to be attacked in the rural areas? And like, it just made me laugh out loud. And Tess was like, oh, right, you remembered that? And I don't know, just their relationship. And there's just so much to dig into there. But Tess, we could talk. What did you think of Tess? Yeah.
Oh no, I was looking at the comments and it seems as if there is that sort of, oh, I loved her, but sometimes there was that moment. But no, I agree with you. And I love the daughter. I think the daughter as her sort of foil worked really well for me. So again, I don't want to jump ahead, but when there was that kind of rift near the end, I was so emotionally invested. I'm like, you cannot lose your daughter.
I could not believe it. I could not believe it, but I did believe it. Anyway, but yeah, we're jumping ahead. But like,
oh no, I love them as a mother-daughter relationship. I didn't want them to be broken up, and the way they interact with each other, and you could just tell how much she loved her daughter. I think the love for her daughter made me care about her in a way that was just it made her so sweet, because you knew she was putting the daughter first, her actions, wanting to protect the daughter, putting the daughter ahead of things, wanting like, okay, do you want to go to the hotel? But even just the daughter cooking the healthy food and her wanting to eat the snacks, just the way they were different and fed off one another. And the fact that she supported the daughter getting the pink hair, and she didn't mind the black nails, and she had the braces, it was just so sweet. Like, she was taking care of the daughter, letting her sort of do her own thing. But I thought it was just really sweet the way they interacted with each other. And I thought Tess had some moments where she's sleuthing, and I'm going, oh, what were you doing there? Like, every single person was a suspect to her, except for the actual person who was the killer. But that's a separate point we'll talk about in a little bit. But
yeah, absolutely, I'm with you there.
It was funny. I mean, I'm right with you. The opening is her being like, oh, we're gonna put a body in the chimney. We're gonna have a small body over there. So she definitely looked at things in her own way.
And I will say, as a mystery writer, it was like, I have driven by like a park and been like, that would be a good place to hide a body. And like, so it made me laugh that Tess did that just so naturally. And she would just zone out when she was talking to other characters. Like with Ivy, especially, she was like, I can just picture you baking, like, what's your favorite drink? Because like, you're going to be in my book and I want to make it believable. And that was so funny how she would just like, she was so like, I don't know.
No, it was one of those, I feel as if for a character it worked, but if I knew her as a person and all of a sudden she would just space out, I would be like, are you paying attention? Hi, what's going on over there? So I think that's the difference for me of a fiction character I can enjoy versus a friend who's just staring off in the distance or using you as inspiration, because I would probably censor myself or not want to tell her personal things because it might end up in her book. So it's almost as if fictional Tess versus real life Tess. I'm going to go with fictional Tess, but I thought it was funny. Sheriff Boyd is literally her dream man. This is the man she's been picturing in her head come to life in this small town. And the fact that she calls him Detective Gonzalez consistently, I mean, at first it was just so entertaining to me, and after a certain point I'm going, oh my goodness, they're like interchangeable to her. So I'm kind of curious what you thought about him as her fictional detective and her calling him Detective Gonzalez. Was that a yes, like this is flirty and fun, or is that a, oh, this is a drinking game now because we're saying this quite a bit?
You know, I actually loved their relationship with the detective. This is something I've never seen this done before in another cozy series. With an amateur sleuth, there's been a lot of stuff like, how does the sleuth work with the detective is such like a thing, right? Do they get along? Do they butt heads? And I loved that this was like, he was the real life version of her fictional detective. And I thought that was really interesting. And I almost saw it more as like a slow burn though. I didn't right away make the connection that like, I think she saw like, oh, he's my real life Gonzalez. And like maybe I can use some of this inspiration here, you know, and things like that, which I prefer the fictional Tess for that. But I did see it like a slow burn and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought they had good chemistry and I think it took a while. At least that's how I read it. Like it read really naturally. Like it took a bit for her walls to start coming down for both of them.
I had to look up. I want to make sure it's Tamara Berry. She's written. I could tell she wrote romance novels too. I could just tell. So when I looked up her bio, it says she's written romances under pen names Lucy Gilmore and Tamara Morgan. I'm going, and I'm adding these to my to be read list now. Yes. You just could tell that she understood relationships and how they're supposed to progress, because she kind of hit the nail on the head for me with them. Because even having Tess think about, oh, Willow as a potential love interest and how she would bake him cupcakes or things and he would eat her desserts and that would get them together. She was thinking about a fictional love interest for the sheriff. It wasn't until they were in that hole where you're kind of going, hey, there's a little bit of something going on there.
Totally. And you're like, Tess, you should be making him the homemade goods. But really like his love is like somebody like who would never do that. But I loved how the tables kept turning. Like, oh, you're gonna home make him baked goods and he's gonna fall in love with her. And then he's gonna realize that she was the killer. And like, like all of the twists along the way. It was really fun how she intertwined that fictional sort of, I don't know, world of hers with a reality. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm curious to read some of her romances now. So.
Well, I almost feel as if this book needs a companion of the book that she wrote based on this book.
I thought the same thing. And I kept picturing Gamache, Louise Penny. I just kept picturing her being somebody like that, like 18 books in, this the lovable detective. Of course, that's like very different series. But yeah, I like you, I was like, I kind of want to read about Gonzalez now.
This is one of those, I was kind of picturing her doing a spin-off series based on her series. It's almost as if you got Harry Potter, but then you have Fantastic Beasts, which is based off of. So can we kind of get something like that going a little bit? I'm going, this is a Poison Pen book, I'm pretty sure. So Poison Pen, please take note of that. I'd be game for it.
Oh yeah. And I also, this is again, jumping a little bit, but like speaking of like novellas or some other companion I would like to read is and I don't often feel this way when I read books and then they release a book like the same story from a different character's point of view. But I was thinking like Gertie's point of view, I would have loved to have been in her head at the end because she like got to be so cool where you think like from Tess's point of view, like, oh no, she's dressing up as like, she's somebody completely different. She's just going to go be with her dad now. But man, Gertie, which somebody called out her name. And I actually completely agree. I don't know. I wasn't always sold on the name Gertie, but I really loved her character. And I would have liked to be there in her head as she figured stuff out. So
I'm kind of nodding along because I almost feel as if she was a better sleuther than Tess, and Tess has all the experience writing mysteries. But the daughter was the one who solved this because Tess technically didn't solve it first. Gertie did. And also you have the police who, again, this is my personal pet peeve. And you do this very well in your books as well, because the cops who are just so inept, they just don't know what's going on. They think this person is the killer and you're going, okay, because, please explain your reasoning. So I liked that the cops were good at their jobs in this book. And I like that they were in on the mystery. Like they kind of solved it, but she's doing her own mystery for her own reasons. And the way it played out at the end was really interesting and well done to me. So I appreciated the fact that the other characters were playing them, the whodunit game too, but they didn't ruin the whodunit. They didn't give away the red herrings were still there. There wasn't any, oh, and this is your answer. Tess solved it on her own and we got to solve it with Tess. So the way that sort of unfolded, I'm kind of going, this was very good writing, Tamara Berry. Like I bow my, tip my hat to you.
Oh, totally. I did too. I thought it was so good. I kept trying to predict who it was as I was going through. That's like, I can't not do that. And I thought, I was like, it's Ivy. I was like, hands down, it's Ivy. And then like at some point I started not like, it was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know about this. It was right around the time that Tess thought it was her. I was like, no, it can't be. There's too much of the book left. But I did not see it coming. I did not see that coming.
It was, so I think there was 3 different points because I think she accused every character for the most part of potentially being this killer. So we had Mason. She thought it was Ivy and she thought it was Nikki. And so it was kind of, she was just working her way down the list. and so it kept you coming back going, yeah, is it Ivy? Is it Mason? And so it didn't give you the obvious answer. And the hints were there, but you kind of really had to be paying attention for them. So again, I kind of liked the fact that she was looking at different characters and wasn't just stuck on one, or, oh, we went down the red herring hole and you knew it was a red herring from the get-go, but we have pages to fill.
Yeah. Well, in the end, there weren't that many characters. Like you work down the list and then you're like, but wait, who else is there that could have a size? I kept coming back to that shoe size. That was in here a lot. And I was like, who else wears shoes? And it's like a size 9, because there weren't that many characters introduced, like in a good way. It like kept the suspect pool kind of small and you really dug into them. And I thought the triplets was such a fun addition. Like I loved all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, there's a third one? Mason? Well, he did it. And then like
that was amazing because we've had the twin reveal and you have those, I think there's even a Josh Whedon quote about, oh, you can't just have it be the twin, or you have to understand why it's the twin. And so you've come across those references and mysteries, and then all of a sudden I mean, they're dressed alike, which they were messing with her and the sheriff, and they wanted to throw her off, and I thought that was funny unto itself. And then you got the other one who's riding in the parade, so he's put on display for her, and she's kind of going, wait, triplets? Like, her reaction was my reaction, because I did not expect the triplet.
I loved it. And she was like, shouldn't somebody have mentioned this to me? But of course, every like all of the law enforcement agents are like, why? No.
Yeah,
like, this is
you don't know an explanation.
You don't need to know that. But, and yeah. What I loved, and this is going back a little bit, but like with the cops not being like what you said, like a pet peeve, I loved that they were always calling her out too. That the detective Gonzalez was like, this is not how it's done, right? Like, we're not just going to tell you everything about the investigation because you want to know. Like, you need to know. You don't need to know there's triplets.
I just thought that was so funny because as we're talking about this, I'm getting those Agatha Christie-esque vibes of you're stuck in the house, and the way this played out with there's no internet or hot water in that cabin. Again, I would never want to stay in this place because I want my hot water, the running water, hot water. But because of that, she couldn't just go on to Adam or what's the other one's name? Zach. Like, she couldn't just go on their Instagram or Twitter and click through and go, oh, wait a second, there's a triplet. I mean, because of the lack of internet, we get to kind of see it unfold almost in a different way than you would have if she had access or something. So I kind of thought that was an interesting take on it and made it feel a little old school, but in a good way.
Yeah, I agree completely. I loved that there wasn't the usual sleuthing tools available to her. Like, she had to go to the library, which, okay, so
microfiche.
Yeah. What was that?
The microfiche.
Yeah, the microfiche, and the bookmobile and Nikki, and it was just such a fun way to like have her like, I want to look up some information on Bigfoot, but I can't Google it, so like, let's go to and then Gertie is like, Mom, didn't you always tell me the answer is at the library? Like, let's. It was so cute, and it was so refreshing. Yeah.
Well, that's why I didn't want it to be Nikki, because I didn't want the librarian to be the bad one.
I know. I didn't buy it for a second with Nikki. It was like, you can't make the librarian, not in like a book themed cozy. The librarian cannot be the.
That was my thought process. I'm gonna go, if she is the killer, I'm gonna be so mad. I'd be so disappointed. I'm like, you're gonna lose a whole star in my head mentally, because I would have just been so disappointed, because this is one of those, like, you don't kill the ant, like, you don't kill the dog, you don't kill the cat, like, you don't really injure the leading sleuther, you're not gonna have the blood and gore on the page. It was one of those, the librarian cannot, if there's only one librarian, that's a good character.
That's a good character. She can have her secrets, which she does, but like, she's not going to be the ultimate like killer. Yeah. And I see some people commenting about the most unbelievable part of like Tess staying at the cabin. Like, okay, so Gertie kept making all these gourmet meals, and part of me was like, how is she doing this without running water? Like, it's hard enough for me to make like a meal in our like with electricity and running water. So it was really funny. And then like at one point, again, I loved this book. So, but like, she was wearing a mud mask, and I just put like a face mask, and I was like, how is she gonna do like?
I mean, how do you brush your teeth at the end of the day? Do you use do you have water? I mean, how do you do this?
Yeah, you're gonna go into that cold tub, which, okay, the hair washing scene was another one that kind of threw me. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. All of a sudden we were like on that page, and I was like, wait, she's washing her hair? What?
I was kind of wondering, like, did she get undressed and get in the tub? Like, how did I miss something?
Totally. It was there were some interesting parts. Like, like Tess's character got to be really like, she, at some points she was like super relatable and stuff, and then she'd do certain things like, help me get this tub filled up, and you're like, wait, you can do that, right? It was just really
well. So I'm gonna admit, I did kind of look at Ivy a little suspiciously, and mostly that's because this woman wrote a 1,000-page sci-fi novel by hand, and I'm going, who does that? There's something going on with this woman.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked at her going, okay, what writer nowadays does that? I mean, we're really going old school with this book. I mean, the no social media components, but her writing her book by hand. And I mean, Tess is typing. She's using a typewriter. She's not using a computer. She's doing typewriter. But the handwritten book, that's why I thought Ivy was a suspect, because that just was that was an intriguing, unique detail to me.
Absolutely. My hand started hurting when I read that. And it was like all handwritten, and it's edited. Like, I mean, for me, like writing a book, it takes like 4 or 5 drafts to get to a point where I would ever share it with anyone. And so you think about her writing 1,000 pages like 4 or 5 times, like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, like that poor woman. And then you don't have it saved. Is that the only copy with Tess? I would not trust Tess with with that box, but that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, I also was so again, this was just me where the daughter reading the book was great, but at the same time, if I was, you know, my little book baby and I didn't know if it was ready for people and I gave it to one person and somebody else was reading it, I would have felt so betrayed and so sad. So I'm glad that Ivy was ready to just put her book in the world, and it was a good thing that she had already passed it on to the agent and things like that. So it ended up being fine, but it was definitely, she was taking a little bit of liberty when it comes to this book.
I don't think that she took care with what Ivy was giving her. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, and I feel like she should have known, because as an early young writer, like, it means so much when you give somebody, like, this is a piece of me that you're going to read and judge, and like, and I feel like Tess would have known that, and just to kind of disregard those feelings a little bit she definitely felt a little bit harsh to me there.
Okay, it looks like people are agreeing. They're going, I like the comment about maybe Ivy lives in a cabin without power. I mean, that would explain the handwritten part. I'll give you that one. But yeah, it looks like some people are kind of nodding their heads going, yeah, Tess giving the book to the agent without asking. Yep.
I know, because like, is that what Ivy wanted? Like, maybe she wanted a leg up and like a foot in the door, but that is taking some presumptions. Tess should at least have said like, hey, Gertie and I both loved your book, or I loved it. I want to send it on. Is that okay with you? Like, that doesn't take very long, especially in a small town where they're all walking distance. Like, to say like, hey, yeah. So yeah, definitely something a little bit odd about that.
I just saw the comment pop up. I mean, again, we have these random moments because we have Tess, she falls in a tiger hole, but then she's also on the roof. I mean, I'm picturing one of those old fashioned like cell phone commercials, like, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Like, you're looking for the signal. I mean, that was great.
Oh, I know. And then it was like, she's trying to get on the roof to see if she has access to the hardware store. That was actually like a highlighted thing that I had, where her daughter Gertie is like, why are you doing this? Like, you're trying to get on the roof so that you can get us a new ladder or something. Like, there was some really, really funny quote that was like, why are you getting up there? Oh, to get cell service, to get in the hardware store. And yeah, and they ended up there. And then, yeah, the toucans flew over, and then the tiger pit. It was really interesting. As soon as all of the animals started showing up, it was a very unexpected place that the book went.
The toucans randomly being, I thought that was a typo.
Yeah.
At first, I was kind of, so I was listening to it on audio at that particular moment, because I like to go back and forth sometimes, or I like to listen to it and then actually physically, sit down and read it, or vice versa. So I was listening to it and I'm thinking, did she just flub? Is that a mistake? I had to go get the physical copy, which is upstairs. I mean, I have my ebook and my iPad over here, but I actually had to go get the physical copy to make sure it wasn't just something I misheard.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the toucans, and then like the bobcat that the woman had adopted and had gotten away, and that Tess managed to put that all together. I thought was interesting. Like, that was really smart of her. Like, she I don't know. I liked the sleuthing aspects where she could put puzzle pieces together fairly naturally, almost from all of her research. Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was a typo too, and I had to read stuff like a couple times. Like, no, it was toucans.
Well, then I started thinking of The Hangover with the tiger. I mean, there's just so many. I love the people commenting. I didn't know what to do with the animals. I'm going, this is interesting. Something's happening. Then I mean, you got the wild animals, you got Bigfoot or Sasquatch. They didn't know what was going on over there.
And somebody said there are exotic animals that are legally sold close to the Canadian border. So maybe this is actually like, I haven't heard anything about this, so I'm learning.
I mean, I love animals, but I would not want a bobcat as my pet. I would be scared. Be like, do you want a treat? Don't bite my hand off.
I know. And the Edna just sort of took this cat in, like, oh, this is my new cat, and like, the more the merrier. And then it ran off, and she was really upset. Yeah, Edna was really funny. You said that. She was. I look forward to. So I'm probably going to read the second one just because I enjoy the community so much. Because like I want more Edna.
So I also want to just throw out there, this is also why I looked at Ivy a little skeptically. So again, she sees the toucans and it didn't even phase her. She's going, yeah, I saw a 3-antlered elk or something a little while ago, and she just walks away, and I'm waiting for something, the other shoe to drop, and I'm going, what?
I know, it was like Ivy's in on it, right? That's immediately what I thought. She's trying to brush it aside as if it's something unbelievable. But did they at that point know about Nikki? Because I feel like there was a shift, and maybe we can chat about, like, there was a shift that happened where the detective, when they were in the tiger pit, was like all suspicious of Nikki, and they had this whole conversation. Mm-hmm. And then it's like Nikki and the sheriff, again, this is where like some supplementary content would be really interesting, because I felt like then later on he was like, nope, it's not Nick, like, nope, the ship is really close to the harbor. All of a sudden the detective knew and like didn't, and so it was really, I wanted to know, what did Sheriff Boyd learn between the two conversations that they had where Tess was trying to play catch up? It was just really interesting to me.
Oh yeah, I was definitely kind of wondering the same thing. I wanted to backtrack almost, going, okay, I want to create a timeline of Nikki, because first she's very suspicious. He's thinking of all the different ways that Nikki's sticking out in the crowd. Then all of a sudden he's not playing that angle anymore. So you know that somewhere along the line Nikki had to bring them into the confidence, but I want to know when that was, because again, not being surprised by toucan. I mean, really, if I saw that bird flying around, I'd be going, oh my gosh, what's going on? I mean, at some point in the book, I almost want a companion piece of it told for maybe Gertie or the sheriff or somebody, because I want more information about what was going on, but in a good way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was like I think in a book too, I always feel like if I want more, that's always a really good sign. The worst is when you're like, nope, how much farther in this book? But this one, like, I never felt that. It went really fast. And I was like, man, I kind of wish there was like more. And I see people commenting on the Sasquatch and like Bigfoot. I thought that was so funny. Like, Tess is in Detective Boyd's car that first time, and he's like, you got to come down and answer some questions. And they stop immediately, and he just takes off running. And it's like Bigfoot. And yet he didn't notice until Tess pointed it out that it was a costume. That was the other thing that I thought was...
Say that again, please. She corrected me, please.
Yeah. It was really funny. It was so well done. Like, I thought for sure it was one of the triplets was Bigfoot, but that it was unrelated to the murders. That's what I had all worked out in my brain. I was like,
I mean, Tess was very observant to the point where I am terrible with guessing people's ages, right? You'll see someone, you're going, you could be 20 or 45. I have no idea. Like, I don't like, do you have lines around the eyes? I can't tell the lighting. Like, I am so bad at guessing ages. When it came to her knowing the shoe size, I'm going, I would not stand a chance. So the fact that she was able to do the shoe size and knew, I mean, I'm going, what about if you were going British, the sizes? Could we,
Totally. I know. I wouldn't know unless I like put my own foot up against that footprint to have like any gauge of, and then to know like the tread as well. Like she really did her book research, and it really stuck in her head for having like written that many books.
Yeah, that was kind of impressive to me. I mean, there was a reference to Castle in the book, which made me smile, because there were a couple of things that she did as the writer that reminded me of Castle. Because there's an episode of the show, again, I'm going to sound like a fangirl. There's an episode of the show where they allude to or talk about how he had a door in the apartment so he could learn how to do the lock picking. So when she said, yeah, they put me in the trunk and he closed, I figured out it's really easy to get out of a Lexus. I'm going, you had him put you in the trunk? Like, there's an episode of Psych where the dad's teaching Sean how to get out of the car, like to do that when he's held hostage. I'm going, but again, he did that because he's trying to teach his son. She did that willingly.
She was like, let me get in and let me see if I can get out. I've got to figure this out. Like, kudos to Tess for doing that intensive research, because, yeah.
I was going to say, would you, as a cozy mystery writer, would you have ever been like, yeah, I'm going to go do my research and get in the trunk of the car to figure out if I can get out?
That's like pretty intense. I feel like I would definitely watch some YouTube videos first to see. I just want to watch some other people do it, and then, but again, no internet although she did this prior. But yeah, no, I've definitely done some different research, but she really took it to a whole other level. It was impressive. Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, what was it? I was writing down the different things that Detective Gonzalez did after a certain point, because this was also one of my favorites. There was the maple syrup mafia. He was lost with Boy Scouts. He ran a marathon. This detective is incredible.
Yes. Yeah. I know. I really liked that he was really good at his job. Like there was even that quote. I highlighted like some stuff about him, and it was like Tess telling Ivy like he's really good at his job, isn't he? Like almost like, and it was like yeah, he is, and he had this whole cool backstory that I would like to hear more about because he sounded like such a cool character. And yeah, when he told Tess he has feelings for her though. Oh, did that just I'm like, I kept hoping, like, come on, Tess, like, say something.
When she ever said, oh, he's the father of my daughter, I'm going, oh, but what are you doing to me, girl?
I know. And it's like, yes, but man, Quentin he was just a piece of work. Like, there were some moments where I thought for sure the author would want to play with him for multiple books, which is why I was so surprised at the end. Cause like this guy is so unlikable. He's like, well, if our daughter is going to come stay with me, like I need more money. And like, oh my gosh, I was like, oh, he's sunk to even a whole new low at that point. Oh, okay. And so there was this quote at the beginning and it made me laugh. Is it okay if I bring up quote?
Oh, go for it. I'm impressed that you have the quote. I'm like, yeah, of course. Read the quote.
Well, this one, it cracked me up. And then I thought of it later when I read that he wanted to go mountain biking. You used to tell me, Dad, this is Gertie. You used to tell Dad that mountain biking was a marketing ploy for aging suburban men who were desperately clinging to their youth. And then like, which is just so like scathing, like a Tess to just say that. And then later on, and then she's encouraging Tess and her to go mountain biking. And then later, Quentin gets so excited about going mountain biking. And they were just like, that's why it was all about him, wasn't it? And anyway, Quentin was a piece of work. I wasn't a big fan of Quentin.
Aside from Mason, who was just kind of questionable, because sometimes she liked him, sometimes she didn't. Then he was kind of ambiguous. He was the only character who was just truly unlikable from start to finish.
Yeah, they're like kudos. Like I thought I didn't like him at the beginning, and then he just kept digging down, like going even further. Like this guy.
Well, I was remembering that again when it was I want $5,000 or $6,000 more dollars. He was going, yeah, I'm gonna have to take her out to the theater. I'm gonna take her out to dinners. She's going, oh, you mean school and making sure she has things that she needs like food and clothing. She had to correct him about what the money was going to be for.
Yeah. Well, then he's like, well, we're staying at a hotel in town. Like, okay, a small town hotel. Like, how much is that really running him here? And then he didn't even notice when she ran away.
Oh, that was so bad.
Which, I mean, that's like on him. Like, I love that Tess knew. She was like, my daughter would never willingly go to a vending machine. I loved Gertie, and I love that Tess and her. I love they just had so many wonderful back and forths, and like they're witting it. Oh, it's just so good. Their banter.
I love that when she had that moment of she would never go to the vending machine. I don't care if it's the apocalypse. She's not doing that.
Yeah. Like she's not gonna. She wants to go and get like pickled beets, but like she's never gonna go to a vending machine. I loved it.
So this was the scene where I was like really upset on Tess's behalf. I was really emotionally invested. When I thought Gertie was legitimately choosing her father, I was so upset. I mean, I was really going, what is going on? Gertie just did this 180 and then all of a sudden she's putting daisies on her nails and she's not doing her little gothic vibe. She's not doing her little, I was thinking of her as like a little rocker chick almost, like that was the vibe I was kind of getting, like a goth rocker. So when she was wearing the sundress, I'm going, are you just trying to please your father? I thought maybe he threatened her or something, or maybe he was trying to say, oh, I'm going to do this thing, or he put lies in her head. That was the only thing I could think of, is he was manipulating her somehow. But again, that moment where Gertie was walking away from Tess, oh, my heart was breaking.
Oh my gosh. And the hug they had, it was. And I feel like I should have known something was up. And I feel like I did. It was like, Gertie, what are you doing in the sundress? But I thought she was so desperate to get her father's approval that she was doing it. And, I'm curious what other people thought, because I felt like throughout the whole book, Gertie kept trying to get her mother to say how she really felt. And it was like, kudos to Tess for not just bashing her, like her daughter's dad. Like it was kudos, but then at some point I felt like Gertie needed her to say something. But I don't know. It was just so interesting for me, their dynamic and the way that Tess would pull back. Like she always said her mind, except for when it came to that.
No, I was looking at the comments, and so it's I'm trying to think how to pronounce her name. Mayim Bialik. She was on The Big Bang Theory, Blossom.
Um,
I remember one time she had a YouTube video and it went sort of viral where she was talking about being divorced but still doing things with her ex-partner for the kids' sake. And I that always stuck with me, going, yeah, even if you get divorced, you're still gonna be in each other's lives. She talked about having mutual respect. And so I was kind of thinking of that in this moment. But I agree though, because at some point she never broke, the rose-colored glasses, because she was talking about how he had the screenplay and he lifted passages and plagiarized, and then he was doing this other thing and that was kind of emotionally abusive, but we didn't really get into that. So for the daughter's sake, I mean, I understand wanting to be cordial, but if I would have been ready to badmouth this guy if he hadn't, talked to the daughter in a week. I'm going, why wouldn't you check on your child? 6 months later, as far as I was concerned, she could have taken those rose-colored glasses off, stomped on them. Like, it was kind of time to say, no, I'm sorry about your father, but I'm here for you. And so I was kind of waiting for that conversation.
I was really, really waiting for that too. I was sort of waiting for that payoff of watching Tess swallow her feelings the whole time. And we sort of maybe got, but like maybe in book 2, they're going to have to address some major things in book 2. But I was waiting for that too. I was waiting for that moment.
This is a good clue. The chips that were mentioned, she recognized them being expensive.
Totally. He eats expensive chips. I kept wondering who was crashing at the hardware store.
Yeah, I didn't think it took me a while to figure out it was him, because he wants $5,000 or $6,000. He's running this exotic animal trading thing. He has these, as far as income, he should not be lacking. So he's crashing as a vagabond. What's going on?
And I love too, like at the beginning, it has her walking into the cabin and feeling like she can still smell Quentin, even months later. That was such like this moment of, we all have that where sometimes you just like, you feel like you could smell something because it smells so nostalgic. And then I loved that it was actually real. And she was like, oh my gosh, he was really there. It was such a cool callback. It was so well done.
The fact that this guy, I was so mad on Tessa's behalf. She's paying him alimony. He was using her grandfather's cabin. It was just, he was taking advantage of her even when they weren't together. This guy was just terrible on so many levels.
He was so awful. He was so terrible. And then, did you suspect him? Because I didn't even, I thought the author for sure would want to tease this out for book. I thought this was going to go on for a while. And so I was so surprised, but he was awful.
I was glad it was him, because now we don't have to read about this terrible character anymore, because I want to read the next book in the series. So I'm glad I'm not going to be in a love triangle with going, oh, he's my daughter's father. Maybe I'm going to try and make this work. Maybe we're going to see where this goes. No, he's out of the picture. No, I did not want to read about this horrible character abandoning his kid again in book 2.
Oh, I know.
It broke my heart.
It would have, you're so right. That would have been just awful. It worked out just perfectly. Because it was like when Tess was talking with Mason for the second time toward the end, which she wrote an article she was going to send to the Seattle Times, bad mouthing Detective. I was going to say Gonzalez, but it's not. It's Detective the Boyd. But I was so shocked she actually sent it. But which is a thing. We could chat. But I started liking Mason, and it was at that point where I was like, wow, I actually all of the characters had so much depth, except for Quentin is the only one that you just you just kind of outright hated him. But even Mason was like, oh, he loves his family. This guy's not so bad.
No, when he ever said, no, they don't work for me, they work with me. Wow. I was thinking of him as not such a bad guy anymore. I'm going, he didn't just take over. I was thinking maybe it was one of those hostile takeovers. He tried to get them out of the business or something. My mind was just playing all these different games of the whodunit. Let me find these puzzle pieces that work. And so I didn't really mind him in that moment. Yes, he was sketchy and he didn't fully sit right with me. But as soon as you started figuring out he cared about the brothers, I wasn't thinking of him as the murderer for some reason. That to me, when he was nice about the brothers, it kind of changed my perspective. He's still a bad guy with Nikki, and we find that out later, but different type of bad guy. He's doing bad things, but he's not physically hurting anybody as far as I know at the moment.
I'm the same way. I kind of crossed him off my own little running suspect list after that conversation. And I don't know, it was so interesting. Yeah.
I agree. You're glad he won't be around in other books. Yep. I have that running joke of there's certain, I think I say this every live stream. If there's a character I don't like, I'm like, if he was the murder victim, I totally wouldn't mind. If they killed him off in the next book, yeah, you know, I'd be fine with that. I mean, I'm glad he was the killer. Like, write him off in book 1, because otherwise I'd be saying the same thing. Oh, if he got killed in book 2, you know, I wouldn't complain.
Yes. Well, that's so, which we haven't talked, like, so Wilma is the actual murder victim in the book, which, like, it opened, like, in a very morbid way, I thought, for a cozy. I thought it was an actual fish at first, and then I had to read the sentence a couple times, and I was like, no way, because I thought it was like, this is just the thriller writer brain coming out, like, it's a fish and she's make believing, and then it was like, no, this is actually a thing. And yeah, so Wilma and Quentin, that was the, like, oh my god, it was interesting. So that's who he was having an affair with, I guess.
I'm the opening. So I don't fish. I mean, there obviously in Massachusetts, the water's right there. Haven't taken advantage of it. I'm more of a let's go look at things versus let's go do the fishing. But the dynamite fishing, I understood that, but we throw the dynamite in the water, and all of a sudden a severed arm that's missing its fingers comes flying at you. That, I mean, we find bodies in cozy mysteries, but getting hit in the head with an arm, I mean, that was a very visual, oh my goodness, this is disturbing scene.
Oh yeah, it was intense. And then, like, she's asking such morbid questions of Ivy. Like, I'm surprised Tess was never really, like, a suspect more, because like, she was like, did you find all of the body parts? And the ease with which she just sort of, like, asked this question. And I love that Gertie is like, God, Mom, I'm scarred. Can't you be normal?
Yeah, people are commenting about it. It is a little gruesome. Yeah, because we also I felt like this was very Dexter or Criminal Minds or something, because he cut off the head and then he cut off the fingers, and I think he cut off something else, and I'm probably missing it, but he fed them to the animals. And that was just, I kind of was going, okay, I'm gonna go make a cup of tea now. We're gonna just take a beat, and then we're gonna go back to this. Yeah, I was not expecting that.
It's like, for Quentin, who seems very, like, he needs his special wool blanket and his fancy chips, like okay, yeah, but yeah, it was gross. And then somebody mentioned Carl. I felt so bad for I wanted to know more about Carl. He was this young, like, kind of scrawny police officer where she was like, everybody's looking up to him, but really he seems like he's like the, you know, should be like the younger one. And then everybody respects him so much, and you learn he grew up in the wilderness. And I felt so bad. I wanted to learn more about Carl, so I was kind of bummed when he got eaten by a tiger.
I liked him. I thought he was so cute, and he seemed so sweet. I was kind of hoping maybe him and Ivy would be something in the future.
Absolutely.
I was kind of playing with that little couple in my head. I was thinking, oh, he might bring her out of her shell a little bit. And
you can read her book next. Yeah.
See, this was my thing too, right? When it comes to cozy mysteries, I always think, oh, the bad guy, you know, it's hard for me when the victim is someone you like, and because even one time there was the mother who had passed away previous to the book beginning, and I'm going, oh, this is so sad. You have the loss of a parent, and we're dealing with grief, and it's so hard for me, because I want to just be like, okay, the murder happened, moving on. But when the murder happens to someone you care about, it like brings it to a different emotional level for me as the reader. So I look at things differently. Like when Carl died, like, we didn't know the first victim. We didn't meet her. We find out later she's doing bad things, but he was so innocent. I'm going, can they have a memorial service for him, or do a dedication or something, like honor this character? Maybe book 2 or book 3 will have something. Maybe they'll do a scholarship in his name, but Carl didn't. He's left to the tiger.
I know. Yeah, there wasn't much talk about him later after it happened. Everybody kind of moved on. It seemed like a little fast. For Carl, I felt, I felt bad for Carl. It's always hard. I always expect, like, there's usually like a second murder, you know, and yeah, I felt bad. I didn't really see it. Well, I mean, I should have, because like he'd been missing for so long, so I felt like I should have been bracing myself. But I kept hoping he was going to uncover something and then come out and like be with the Bigfoot and like have done it. And,
like, I was living in the cave with the Sasquatch.
oh, yeah, exactly. For a while, I thought maybe he was the Sasquatch, because I don't know. But then again, it's the size of shoe thing, and she kept eliminating all of the people right away.
Again, I could have just been like, yeah, maybe she messed up the shoe size, that she was so sure, and it was a definitive thing in the book. You're going, okay, suspect crossed off. I just kept thinking, oh, maybe the person limped or something, or maybe they stumbled and the shoe size played differently. I was kind of trying to figure out another way to not make the shoe size the cross them off component. I was trying to figure out if there was a way of, oh, they were running and they didn't put their foot all the way down with the ball of the, I was trying to think of other ways it could play off.
Yeah, I was too. I kept trying to like not make that a clue for the murder. Like I kept thinking maybe it's who like crashed in the hardware store. Maybe it's the Bigfoot, but maybe it's not who killed, like who is the murderer. Like I kept trying to like reason with it or like figure out some way around it. Yeah. Planted. I don't know.
Yeah. So I made a note of it because the sheriff, he was so convinced that Bigfoot was just messing with him. He was so convinced. And then it turned out that was not the case at all. It was just a fun coincidence that he was just always the one chasing him.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
It was so, that was so interesting that had been ongoing for him for a while and like being mocked by, like, but what had been, so at that point it was just Bigfoot, like, and like Boyd thought that Bigfoot was sort of just tormenting him by following him around. He didn't realize there was like all of this stuff going on in the background, which is so interesting. Like Tessa came in and immediately was like, there's more going on here.
This is the only thing with him being the sheriff where he had to have Tess say, no, that's a person. That was the only time where I'm going, he's not 100% great at his job. Like he might get an A, but he's not getting an A+.
No, especially like later on, they described the costume as being like somewhat shoddy, like you could see the threads and like you could see it. Like I just pictured like, it was bought like a few years ago at a Halloween costume store. And like that tricked him for, I guess, a really long time.
Maybe he needs glasses or, the prescription needs to be up to level.
Yeah, I don't know. Because that was kind of funny. She just immediately knew.
I mean, I also, the poor guy, we find out he was shot twice. This poor guy in the line of duty, he was shot in the arm, and then he even said he got one in the backside, and then he breaks his leg. I mean, he has had a rough sort of career as a cop.
And, okay, so he broke his leg because Tess fell on him, and they fell into the hole, right? Like, at first I read it as like Tess fell on him and it broke his leg, and I was like, oh my gosh, poor Tess is gonna be traumatized after this. But yeah, it was like they fell in the hole together, and then he broke his leg, and then he like didn't say anything about what pain he was in, and he was trying to be so brave in front of her, I think. I don't know.
No, this poor guy, we find out what he had. They were worried if he had internal issues. I was thinking the ribs or bleeding, but he did have a concussion and he was in shock. So I'm also pretty sure they said they had to warm him up. So there was almost a hypothermia issue. So this guy, he was a hot mess when they brought him into the hospital. And then he's on the drugs and he's saying things as he's in the hospital.
Oh, I know. It's the only way to get him to like say what his true feelings were though, right? Because he's such like a little grump and he's so closed off that it's sort of like that trick. And I feel like it's used like I kind of like it, but like they get somebody to like say their feelings because like he's all doped up and, like, and then he can finally confess to Tess like what's going on here. Yeah, I did really like Sheriff Boyd though. I had a hard time picturing him. I'm not sure, but like I really liked him.
I just saw the comment that there's actually a conference. Where did it go? There was a comment that there's a conference about. Here it is. There's a Sasquatch conference. That's great.
Oh wow! So it's like a real.
That's amazing.
Okay. I did love the setting. I loved the Pacific Northwest and like the small dinky town and like the cabin that she inherited, and I don't know. I liked that.
Well, I liked that, and I'm pretty sure this was the book blurb for 2. Because I did read the book blurb for 3, but I know that one is. I think I might even have an arc around here somewhere. But again, the library it's an up and coming thing, so things are a little off. But It said that she fixed up the cabin because they're going to be living there for book 2. They're moving to the town permanently. And so she's also fixing up the hardware store. So I'm kind of glad that they're going to be putting down roots in this town because it does seem really welcoming, and it does seem as if it's going to be a better environment for her emotionally. She's creative there. Her muse is inspired. Although with the bodies dropping, it doesn't seem like the safest place to be.
No, I know. Well, Gertie came out of her shell though. She like made some friends there, and like Gertie likes it, and I think Tess would do anything. I got the sense like Tess would do anything for Gertie in like the best way. I loved Gertie and Tess.
I was just looking. I'm trying to remember if it was Tim and Tommy or Timmy and Tom.
Timmy and Tommy, which is kind of silly, like, but I bought it. It's a very cozy, like, I buy it. I'll take it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't mind that at all, especially because they're brothers. It's not as if there's another character you're just getting them confused with randomly. So, and they were also kind of talked about as a unit anyway. She's going to hang out with her friends. She's going to their house. So I just wish maybe we got to meet them or see Gertie interact with them a little bit. I kind of want to see, hopefully in book 2, we get to see her and her friendships with I'm going to cook dinner and everyone's invited, or, I made snacks and I try them out on you. I want to get to know them because the fact that she likes them, I instantly like them.
Totally. I agree completely. And, like, so 2 things. So 1, I actually suspected Timmy and Tommy at one point. Like, that's how desperate I was getting for suspects. Like, the suspect was like, I wonder what size shoe Timmy and Tommy have. Like, I'm mostly joking, but like, I was just, who are these people that Gertie's hanging out with? Everybody just says to trust them. So I guess I'm going to trust them. But I saw in book 2, the hardware store, she turned it into a bookstore. And that makes me so happy because I could picture Gertie like doing all the baked goods or like paninis and yummy drinks. And I could just see them like flourish in this little town together. So I hope that happens.
Oh my goodness. I think that would be so cute if she worked at the bookstore. Her mother was, that would be great because that'd be the perfect sort of mother-daughter, just, I was going to say collaboration, because they could each do their own thing, but still be together and spend time and bond. Oh, that would be amazing. But yeah, I think it's cute that she's going to honor his memory by keeping that store alive, because we kind of get that whole Mason. I mean, again, Nikki's working on it. So we're going to be getting rid of Mason at some point, but before or after he turns that old historic town into potential luxury apartments. So that kind of gave me a little bit of relief of, okay, so they're not tearing that down right yeah, that this town is safe.
Oh, I know. That was so interesting. That was a nice little subplot to sprinkle in that like we'll go into the next couple of books where we'll see where that goes, because that was interesting. Like, Mason wasn't all good. It was just that he wasn't like all bad. Like, but he definitely
he only lost by 5 votes, so 5 people were out of town.
I know. Well, and Edna's against him, or is for him against Boyd. It was so the sheriff. It's such an interesting role because it is elected, and so like, and Sheriff Boyd does not seem like he cares about any of that nonsense. Like, he is not trying to butter anyone up. He's just trying to do a good job, which is like, he would have my vote, But I can see where Mason is maybe a little bit more coy and like a little bit more, I'm going to say slimy, but like a little more convincing to people. Like, he can put on a good front, and like maybe he'll convince some people and weasel his way in there. And I don't know. It's interesting.
Yep. This is the whole, I always have that theory of people who should be in office are never actually going to run because they're not going to be able to give the speech or do the, be able to have those kind of personas that are necessary, even if they have the intelligence or the ability to do the job. It's being able to do the public appearances and have those interactions. So you could definitely see that sort of being the task here with, okay, yeah, he has this background. I mean, he probably won on his record alone of having been the city cop and coming back with all this experience, because he must have just won on his reputation alone, because I can't see him going around knocking door to door, having signs put up on lawns, whereas Mason totally would do that.
Yeah, he wouldn't, like, I don't think Sheriff Boyd would buy it. Like, yeah, he would not do any of that.
I mean, I can't really picture him like knocking on doors being like, can I get your vote?
Yeah, no, he would just be, it would have to have been on his reputation. And he has some like backstory with his sister, which I thought was so interesting. And like, yeah, He was a good.
There's something there. I'm going, okay, this is when you know someone is a good writer and they're thinking ahead with a series of, okay, you're planting the seeds and it's going to come into fruition for book 2 or 3. We know something is going to happen here. But we're going to be able to go back of, oh, I remember this from book 1 as you're reading book 2 or 3 because you're just invested in the series and the characters.
I did. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was like, something's happening. I was like, this is going to be interesting. I just don't know what yet.
Oh yeah, no, I was just, it's going to be like super interesting. And like, I think one thing I actually liked was that Tess and Boyd never kissed. I thought that was nice. It is going to be like a slow burn. I'm curious what other people think. Like maybe you wanted them to like have that moment, like in the hospital when his guard is down and like, you know, but it was kind of nice because I think it left a lot of room both for his character to keep growing and to learn more about him and for their relationship. Like it has so many places it could go. And it's kind of cool to see like that depth being built, like that foundation before going there.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you because I mean, I don't like angsty stories, and I didn't really get the angsty vibe from them of if you just have a conversation, this can all be worked out. I liked that it wasn't as he was under the influence, so to speak, because that's what is, I think, cheapened the moment of these two characters getting together because A, he might not remember it, and B, he's not totally in his right mind. I want him to be in his right mind and choose Tess. So that's what I'm thinking. I want him to have that moment of turning around and kissing her because he wants to, he means it, not just because he has an excuse.
Hear, hear. Well said.
I mean, I like what I was going to say. Mariana Zapata books, the Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I like here it is actually as I'm talking about it. So I mean, like I like my slow burns. I don't mind the slow burn. I'm there for it. So I also kind of give her credit because I don't want the relationship to feel rushed. I mean, I don't mind reading book 2 and book 3 because this isn't a romance. It doesn't need to be. They don't need to be together at the end. So I like that you can see her romance writer side coming through with the characterizations and the narrative, but she's not doing okay, I'm going to turn this into a romance. It's still a cozy mystery. And she understood that. So again, like I'm going like, you knew what you were doing when you were plotting this book in this series.
She really did. She really knew what she was doing. I was so impressed again, like with the clues that she put at the very beginning, like that cologne, just right at the beginning, and then it all came together so beautifully. It was well done.
Those are the details that just up the book for me because you almost I kind of pictured the writers, when you guys are working on your mysteries and you're putting your clues in there, going back and adding them, because those are the clues where you're going, okay, thank you, now it makes sense because the stars aligned, but I just didn't notice them at first. So I like those details. So I'm going, she really did put on her mystery writing cap. I mean, we have the thriller writer in the book, but she knew herself as the writer what to do for us as the reader, which was great.
Yeah, she really did. I really appreciated that too.
I'm just seeing the comments pop up about the slow burns.
Yes.
This one made me happy. Like Hannah Swenson. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yes.
I agree. Oh my gosh. No, I mean, at least I saw that there might be a little bit of a love triangle for one of the books, but I'm going to be rooting for Sheriff Boyd. So I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I'm rooting for him.
It would take a lot for me to root for somebody else. It would they would have to really come in and have like really great chemistry with Tess to take that away.
Oh, off the charts chemistry, save her life multiple times. Because I liked him.
I did too, and I like that they got each other. Like she could say those like weird morbid thoughts to him, and he was just kind of like he would take it. Like, and it wasn't anything. I don't know. Like she talked about it. Like Tess talked about how like Quentin always said like put her down for some of her thoughts, like the way she was, and how she didn't get that with Boyd at all. Like he was always like very receptive to everything she said.
I mean, it was playful too. I liked that I was going to say, I don't want to say he called her out on getting the procedural components of jurisdiction wrong. So, I mean, he kind of had fun with her, but he read her books. And even if he didn't always agree with them, he kept reading and he was supportive of her, even if he didn't always vocalize it, which was nice. Like he was emotionally there for her, even if it's not always explicitly stated, I guess.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it when Nikki was like, oh yeah, well, Sheriff Boyd is always the first one in line to read your book. And I love that Tess is like, could have bought it. Like, she's just never content with anything with him. She always finds some way to like, and it's like in a flirty way, I think at that point, it's like sort of like a little mini internal banter for her. But like, I love that he always is first in line at the library to check out her new book. It was so cute. It was just so sweet. And he, of course, is like, oh, it's because I need to know what everybody's going to give me a hard time about as like the real life Gonzalez. But you know, deep down, that's not why.
I just think it's so cute though. Like he's her dream man come to life. Like there's something to that. If he, I want them to explore this relationship. So I am game for book 2 and 3. And I think that's one of the things we always ask of, will you continue the series? So I'm like, my hands up in the air. I'm going to be reading book 2.
I will as well. I thought this was really fun. I liked the writing style. I liked the voice. It made me laugh. I loved Gertie. I want to see like what Tess gets up to in the next book. And yeah, I'm here for Boyd and Tess. Yeah, team Boyd.
Oh, and we have the poll. Okay, so the book everyone seems to have given it at least a 3-star. It looks like a majority of people gave it 4 stars. So people seem to be enjoying the book. So we have 39% for 4 stars, 35. Okay, you guys really seem to like this book. That's encouraging.
That's good. Yeah.
I like it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you guys are so cute. I'm just catching up on the comments. But it looks like people are going to be reading the rest of the series. So
awesome.
I know. Is this book 2? I don't want to lose your books there, but I was trying to come prepared. You're going to love how I have the next one, but I don't have the first one that we're talking about.
On the Sign of Death. What a good title. I thought Buried in a Good Book was pretty fun too.
So I noticed this right away. So I kind of love the book cover because I thought it was just part of the headstone, but they're books on the headstone with the papers loose.
Oh,
but they're books.
That's clever.
And the RIP, rest in peace, is along the book spine. Oh, I kind of love that.
That's clever. I liked this cover too. I almost felt like it wasn't like, it made it seem like it was going to be a little bit like older. No, I don't want to say that. Like, I don't know what I'm saying. Like a more traditional, like cozy. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but not quite so modern. Or I felt like this one was kind of hip. Like we said, it had like some different elements to it that like, I really liked the cover, but it did have some of those like older school. That's what I'm looking for, like older school sort of cozy cover vibes. But maybe that's
there's no dog or cat on the cover. There wasn't a cup of coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
So we have the writer theme. I was thinking of Julia Buckley and her writing series, Mystery Writers. I think that's what it's called. It's somewhere over here. It's somewhere on this bookcase. But I mean, that seemed to be the sub trope or subgenre there within the cozy mystery of, okay, we have a writer and we're going to just follow that, because we didn't have other things that I think we see a lot for the most part. Again, we had our exotic cozy companions, but we didn't have our kitten or dog or something like that. But she still made it cozy, and we didn't necessarily get the puns, but we got jokes.
It was like such a different sort of humor. You're right. Like there were less punny and more like, but there was still that humor, and like she always kept it lighthearted. And I think that was Tess, because she would just like the way she would never take things too seriously or something. I don't know. And Gertie helped keep it lighthearted, and yeah. But this was a fun one.
I love Gertie. Again, I'm going like she needs to be protected at all costs. I know when it comes to cozies, the daughter is not going to be the victim, but I don't even want her kidnapped, abducted. She cannot run away again. I kind of forbid that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, when she walked off into the woods, and it was like, oh no. And that's where I was like, maybe Carl will find her, because before Carl died. And yeah, Gertie, I was so worried about Gertie. That was the one thing when Tess was in the pit with Boyd, I was like, if I were in Tess's shoes, my mind would be completely, where is my kid? I don't know. I mean, that's like, I wouldn't have been thinking along, like, I don't know, been brainstorming ideas for her mystery novel at that point. I don't know.
Maybe it was one of those, I can't think about it, so I'm going to focus on everything but.
Yeah.
Those approaches.
Maybe she couldn't bring herself there. And I know she was like worried, but it was definitely interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I also liked the fact that they were bonding in their little pit. I think he even said he could see the tracks, or he knew she was going to be fine. Like, I think he gave her
He
peace of
did.
mind, so it wasn't as if she was just going to be a nervous wreck the whole time. And it's probably a good thing that he said that, because they were down there for what they said, 4 or 5 hours, I think,
Or
at
it
least.
was like hours and hours, and I kept thinking, like, I mean, and he did say that. So, and I think that was probably to alleviate our worry, because immediately I was like, if I was Tess, I would be trying a lot harder to scramble up that wall. Like, I know she said the dirt was loose, but like, if your kid is out there and like you haven't seen Carlo in a while, and like dead body parts are falling from the sky, like, I don't know, that like, I'm a worrier, but like definitely ticked up a few notches for me.
Yeah, I think this cozy definitely, I mean, I almost feel as if she was able to get away with it because Tess is a thriller writer, and thrillers are a little darker than cozies. So the fact that there's like thriller components interweaved a little bit, I think she gets a little bit of a pass for that, because there were some thriller moments of, yeah, this was a little less cozy and a little bit more, oh my gosh, I'm on the edge of my seat. We weren't leisurely eating our scones and sipping our tea. we were in
No.
a, we were in a tiger pit, and then she's wondering, oh, was this a grave or a tiger pit? I mean, both of those are very problematic and very
Yeah.
concerning.
Both very big deals, both immediate concerns. I did, speaking of like food, yeah, they weren't eating scones, but they were eating sandwiches at one point, and I like wanted one of Gertie's sandwiches so bad. I was reading, like, I don't even know what all was on it, but all of these police officers are hanging out inside the cabin, like snacking.
I remember because she asked the mother if she wanted something on the sandwich, and I'm going, that sounded very upscale with this sandwich.
It was like a fancy kind of cheese. It was like, do you want some Harvati, Mom?
That was what it was. Yes.
Yes, please.
Well, maybe they're going to have recipes in the back of the book and going, Gertie's something. Maybe there'll be a companion, or maybe she'll post a recipe on her website or something, because I can totally see, I was looking, there aren't any recipes in the back, but that would be great if there were.
I actually wondered, I was kind of hoping for that. Maybe in book 2, like, especially if like Gertie gets, like, I hope she gets her own display case where she can sell all of her baked goods. Maybe she'll get her own little corner. Yeah.
I was surprised though, because I knew she was, again, she has braces, and we know she's a teenager. But when she says she's going to go live with the father, she says she's going to be going into her freshman year of high school. This character, she read as more mature to me. Yes, she had her teenage moments and things, but she was very intelligent. So I was going to say, she's a very well-developed character for a teenager. She knows what she's saying and doing. So I think Gertie is definitely, I mean, she's going to grow up to be a great character. Maybe she'll get her own spin-off series or something, but I like Gertie. I'm there for her.
I'm there for Gertie too. I wondered if she was so grown up because of her dad and like what she had gone through with like not, like if she had to do a lot of growing up. And it sounds like her mom wasn't always there even before the divorce. Like she was busy on tour or like writing books. And so it was a very interesting, like Gertie felt very much like there were times when she was the one taking care of Tess. Again, like they were at the grocery store and Tess was like, no, or Gertie's like, we're getting some vegetables and like, I tell you everything I know about Bigfoot, but you're going to eat some beets. Okay, Mom. And like, I thought, yeah, Gertie was such a cool character. She did seem very grown up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Someone mentioned before that they thought Gertie was the one taking care of Tess, and she had that more maternal side to her, even though Tess was the mother. That was really a cute scene, because it was realistic of, okay, I might be the mother, but that doesn't mean I want to eat like an adult or always be healthy. But the fact that the daughter is the one who's health conscious and doing those and wanting the mother to be healthy too, I mean, that to me is just really good writing, because you're giving these characters depth in a way where it has nothing to do with the narrative. It's not leading to the mystery. It's not contributing to the, oh, who done it? But it gives you this sense of who they are and what they're striving towards. And it makes you care about them because you get to see their interactions and love them and root for them.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes me want to stick with the series, like, is the sidekicks and the characters. Like, above all, like, I want to see Gertie and I want to see what happens with them and like see her mom and her continue to bond. And like, I don't necessarily want Gertie to like give up her pink hair or like any of who she is, but like, it'll be fun to see, like, does she try turquoise? You know, like, just to see her keep growing. And like, she was so cool because she loved like the graphic novels and cooking, and she had all of her own little things, and it was so cool. She and Tess, I thought, played really well off of each other.
That was so cute that she loved. She went to the bookmobile and she had her own interests. It wasn't as if she was trying to mimic her mother because she wanted the mother to pay attention to her, or she wanted to be just like the mom. Like, she was her own unique character, her own unique person in the book.
Yes, yes. Too.
But I will say, I am curious if Ivy is going to become the best-selling author who puts the town on the map. I am curious if in book 2 or 3 she's a published author. I feel as if this is coming. There's going to be a book signing or some sort of mystery with Ivy at some point. I need to find out more about her sci-fi book.
That would be so. Yeah, all we know is it involves a Bigfoot-like character, because that's why she was checking out all those books and scribbling in the margins of library books. Ivy, come on now. But I did really like Ivy. I want to see that. I would love it if like she served the house or passes Tess, or if they play off of each other like in that way. It would be kind of
become kind of frenemies or rivals of, I'm going to be the one in the town who's doing this. No, it's me. I mean, what was it? There's an episode with Jessica Fletcher with her writing rival, and she doesn't know she's the rival. The lady comes to town and she's saying, "Are you going to use this for a mystery, or can I?" So maybe it's one of those.
Oh, that would be so amazing if they both want to take things that really happen from the town. Like, you're going to take Mason's downfall and do a sci-fi spin on it. No, I am. That'd be amazing. And, you know, maybe I like to think like maybe Tess would eventually be more supportive of Ivy. Like if the bookstore, like maybe she'll host the launch event or like have the signing there or something. Like that would be so cool.
I will say I felt so bad because she was literally going, "There's nothing else to do, therefore I shall read her book." It was the last resort, and I felt so bad. I was so thankful that she liked it, but the fact that it was one of those, I don't want to do this, I can't do that. Okay, fine.
I know. I feel like it's like she meant it in like a jokey way. Like Tess is meant, like it's meant to be funny, but it does like, it kind of hits you sometimes like as a writer, and you know how hard it is. Like, oh, again, here's this thing. And for her, she hand wrote about 1,000 pages. And it's just like, you have to give somebody something, like some respect for that. So yeah, that was harsh on Ted for Ted.
I'm just I'm picturing this manuscript. I mean, this woman must have the strongest writing hand in the world. I'm like, do you have a writing? I mean, do you have one of those casts or something? I mean, I'm so impressed with this character. I know she's fictional, but I could never write 1,000 pages by hand. I mean, that's mind-blowing to me. And I'm sure there are people who do write their books by hand. Every so often, someone will say that on the hashtag am writing with Twitter, and I'm going, you did what? You're an impressive person.
I like can barely write a grocery list without it becoming like, you know, like not being able to read it at the end. Like my scribbles just get worse and worse and worse. And I can't even imagine for 1,000 pages to like have your handwriting legible.
Well, again, I get very nitpicky in particular. So after a certain point, your pen is going to run out of ink. I would be going, okay, but the inks don't match. I'm going to have to rewrite it using this pen. And then this one, oh, I ran out of this type of paper. Oh, this paper doesn't match entirely. I'd be losing it. I would be a hot mess because I like things a certain way.
Oh, totally. I completely can like, yeah, that would be hard if all of a sudden you're like, I only have a purple pen left, but this must get down. Like, no. Yeah.
Nope. That was my thought process. I'm going, what did you have notebooks? Where did you get the paper? Was it the same type of paper? Where you, I mean, again, was your hand tired? Did it start looking different after a certain point? Because yeah, I have so many questions about Ivy's book.
Yeah, maybe Tess will like get her a laptop in the next book so she doesn't have to write by hand anymore. Although she probably has one. Maybe, like you said, like there are some writers out there, like you see them like on Twitter, like with their hashtag, that do like handwrite at least like first drafts. And there is like, I love doing, you know, different note taking and stream of consciousness and brainstorming on like using pad and paper. But when it comes to like the actual writing, I would just be, I'm nervous enough my computer's going to crash and I'm going to lose some words, like let alone like have hard paper that could have a water glass spilled on it and then like all your work is gone.
So I never really understood the phrase about the dog eating your homework. I always thought that sounded odd. Daisy, the puppy who's here, everything is fair game. She started eating one of my notebooks. Luckily, this was a new notebook, so she didn't actually do any harm. Nothing was lost, but I had never actually come across a dog eating paper before. And luckily I was able to catch her relatively quickly, but she was eating the paper.
Oh gosh, that stinker.
I'm picturing like, again, having a fan on or a gush of wind and it going on the floor and the dog runs away with it, or in Love Actually when it ends up in the lake or something.
I know. I totally picture that too. Like the lake is right outside the door, like anything could happen.
Well, I mean, apparently in this one it gets lost in a cemetery, so there's also an axe. I'm so intrigued by this series. I think she did a great job.
She did, and I'm excited. The second book sounds really cool. Like I looked up like the synopsis after I finished this book because it was like, oh, I can't wait to see what this is about. And I'm really glad that Gertie and Tess stayed there, and building a home.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I'm so happy that you liked the book because, again, I never know what's going to happen because everything is submitted by book club members. You guys recommend the titles. I add them to my list. You guys vote on them. And so I hadn't read the book, so I didn't know what we were getting into. And so I'm so glad that it's been a hit among the cozy community here. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed this series. I'm so glad.
Me too. So I know this was a good discussion too. And I knew it would be, like, because there is so much here to dig through.
She wrote these characters had depth. She had an interesting mystery. I mean, she was checking all the boxes. Yeah, there wasn't a, what is it, coffee cafe or something like that, or we don't have. I mean, she's going to be building the bookstore and putting that together. So we didn't have those go-to sort of cozy mystery things, but she still hit the nail on the head.
She did. Well, she still had that, like, they're eating sand. Like, I still felt like she hit some of those notes. The pet one was interesting. I mean, Edna had the cat, like the old lady, like she had a cat, bobcat, but cat. But yeah, there wasn't those traditional ones, but like I felt like Gertie with the cooking sort of hit, like, satisfied that sort of itch for me that I always like in a cozy, where I like to see people like eating food and having that cozy moment where they're all together. And there's definitely the community. Although I would like to see even more of that in the next one. Like, I kind of look forward to learning more about the town.
Oh, that old section of town that the hardware store is supposed to be in, where the bookstore is going. I want to know what other stores are there. I want to meet those other characters. I also want to meet Otis with his sons. I mean, she set it up nicely, so we can tell that more is coming. More good things, more coziness is on the way.
Yeah, good. This was such a fun one though, and like I kind of liked that it was a little bit of a different cozy too. Like it had like more, it was more like edgy, I guess.
I mean, she had me from the arm hitting her in the face.
I know. Yeah.
So again, this is a very random thing it made me think of, but there was, last week tonight when I was earning my first master's degree, I studied political satire. So the last week tonight with John Oliver, he had an episode where he had a salmon cannon, and so he was putting like fake salmon into a can, like shooting them and then celebrities were doing and it hit me in the head. Oh, I caught it. I was picturing that for some reason of like, maybe it wasn't an arm, maybe it was just a mannequin thing like John Oliver did. Nope.
Me too. Like it was like, can't be that. Like it can't be that. That's quite the start. And like we I forget if we talked about this, like if it was before we signed on or not, but like that first paragraph of like 5 dead bodies at least are in this cabin. And you're like, wait, is this the beginning of the cozy? Like what's happening?
There's going to be a small body in the chimney.
It was so funny. And then you get what it is, and it's really funny. And Tess, of course, Gertie. I keep mixing up those names because Gertie seems like
she should be the adult.
Yeah, the adult. But like Gertie is like, Mom, where have you dragged me? And like, kudos to Gertie for being such a good sport. Like she's a 13-year-old going up there with no Wi-Fi, no running water, no electricity. And she's like, okay, Mom, let's go. And like, she's sort of game the whole time. She had like some snarky comebacks, but man, that kid was like, she was a good kid.
She deserves a gold star. She deserves if the mother wants to buy her those book series so she has them at the cabin, do something nice for this daughter, because even just complaining like a little bit, I can't picture. Again, like I have long hair. I can't picture washing my hair, conditioning my hair, and not having running water. I mean, I'm so glad they're fixing up the cabin. I know that was in the book blurb. I'm going, thank you for preemptively answering my question of if you're moving to this cabin, how are you going to live your lives?
Totally. Because at first when I was reading it, I was like, maybe they move into the hardware store, like maybe they make that their home. And so I'm glad that it's the like they fix up the cabin and then turn that into a bookstore.
People are talking about your book in the comments. I just saw the title pop up. So yes, every comment tonight counts as a giveaway entry. So yes, this woman is incredible. I mean, she's so talented. I will always recommend Killer Chardonnay, 4th book in the Colorado wine mystery series. So I'm very, very happy that this book is going to be the giveaway, and she's so sweet and so generous to do that. So all of your comments, get them in now. Get them in now while you can, because this book, you could get your own paperback copy.
Absolutely.
Again, I feel like it's so special when you get an arc. For some reason, when you get an arc, you just feel like you're like, I get to know something. I get to solve the mystery. I feel special. And there's just something about arcs that hold a special place in my reading heart. I mean, I just cherish them so much.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me again to do this. This is super fun. And I love the Cozy Mystery Book Club. And so it's really fun being the guest host.
Oh my goodness. You are welcome anytime. I love talking to you. So again, you guys are going to learn something that I haven't revealed before. So I chatted with this amazing woman. She's going to be on the podcast. I just haven't edited and posted. So that is coming, but I love talking to her. She's so eloquent, so intelligent. I mean, she's going to be a hostess. She had to be a hostess. She's so, just knew she was going to be great at this. It was meant to be.
Well, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Well, with the podcast, we had so much fun chatting. I really remember it was such a blast. So,
oh my gosh. I am so behind when it comes to things for the book club. I mean, there's always so many different moving parts, but I am going to be sitting down in the next couple of days because I am dedicating March to doing some things for the book club. And so things are happening, and this is one of them. So you guys are in the know. I'll give you another little insider thing. I mean, I've been working on, we now have stickers for Sherlock Hamster. So that is now a thing. I need to post the photo and share this, but you guys now have the inside scoop. So this, I'm going to say, like, yes, I'm trying to do the thing with, like, she's going to be featured, and I'm so excited about that.
I don't know how you do everything that you do, Angela. You, like, juggle so much. It's so impressive. So
I honestly have I think the insomnia thing might be good. I mean, it helps sometimes, but I just think the community inspires me so much. Again, the Sherlock Hamsters just sort of happened. That grew out of the Library Lover Mystery series. And I have so many things on the iPad that I've been drawing and working on so that bookmarks can happen. I'm going to actually, if you guys want to see, there's a new one to go with the podcast. So there's new bookmarks coming your way. So things are happening behind the scenes. So I don't always talk about them until they're ready to go. So I think that's why it also seems so I mean, again, things take time. Like, I designed the background myself, so I was doing all the different shading, and I designed the cut myself. I mean, it takes time to do these things. So when the reveal happens, there were a lot of moving steps leading up to it. So I find it relaxing to do the designs, though. I enjoy doing them. So I think those are my fun moments during the day when I get to kind of unwind, going, I'm doing something fun for the cozy community, because it is my happy little place. So I enjoy doing it. That makes it so much easier to do more, because if you enjoy what you're doing, it's great.
Absolutely. And I love you've made this a happy place for so many people. So.
I know. I just kind of like pause, like, oh, I feel like I was just gushing, but I always forget. So next month, I always do these images, and then I forget to share them. So we have our official book club list. So now we are officially 2 books down, and next month is Murder on a Scottish Shire. So again, we were going for something maybe Irish related. We ended up in Scotland, so kind of close cousins there. It works, but we have a dog on the cover for this one. So next month we have this book. And so clearly we're making progress. And I can't believe that this is the last, we're ending February, which is mind boggling to me. I'm like, where did the time go? But I'm so happy that this was our February book club read and you guys joined us tonight. I mean, as far as February goes, it kind of gets like a check mark in the win column for me.
I think so. This one is so fun. This is such a fun book.
Oh my gosh. Is there anything else you guys want to add or get in? Oh my gosh, you guys are so cute. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I think you're gonna make me cry. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. I'm so honored that you joined us tonight, and I'm so happy you read the book, and I'm so grateful you enjoyed it. And again, if you are not already following this woman on social media, please do. She is so sweet, so intelligent. And if you haven't read Killer Chardonnay, I recommend this book so much. Start with book 1, and then when book 4 comes out, you already binge read the rest of them because they're awesome. You're ready to go. So I am really happy that you have another book coming out with this series. So hopefully you'll get book 5, maybe.
Stay tuned. We'll find out.
So, yes. So this woman is very talented and very sweet. So please check out her books. I highly recommend them. I mean, Killer Chardonnay, I have reread this book, 5 or 6 times. It's one of my go-to, like, is my happy place. And I love I love the leading lady. So again, just all the coziness. So again, I bow down to her.
It means so much to hear you say that. So thank you. And thank you to everybody commenting. And yeah, love for the series. I do really, really appreciate it. It means so much to me. Like, I get kind of be like gushy, like teary too.
Well, again, I am never going to run out of nice things to say about this woman. I am so honored that she joined us tonight. Again, I fangirl at her. So the fact that she's co-hosting the book club tonight is such an honor. So I appreciate Kate joining us. I appreciate you guys commenting. I am so appreciative that you guys read the book, and I am hoping that you guys enjoy the next book just as much. So fingers crossed. Please get your copy of Murder. Where's my banner? Where'd the image go? Oh, I lose it again every single time. Where'd it go? So we got the cover. I have all these other images with like questions as like backups. We never get to them.
Oh, that's so smart to have that ready. You're so good.
Well, just in case, I mean, again, I did this a long time ago. If the conversation ever stalls, or we have a moment of like, oh, like, is there something we're supposed to talk about? I have those goats, but we've never needed them. Anyway, so please start looking for your copy of Murder on a Scottish Shire. Please add it to your next library haul, book haul, however you read. I'm hoping you can get your copy and join us for next month, because again, more coziness is coming your way, and hopefully you enjoy it and you enjoy the next whodunit. But thank you guys for joining us. You guys are so amazing, and I'm so appreciative of you guys being a part of the book club and chatting cozies with us tonight and joining Kate. So again, shout out and applause to Kate for joining. So please stay happy, healthy, safe, and happy reading and sleuthing. Bye, everybody.